Bum, 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 bum.
Hello.
Right.
Hello. I think. Oh no, I'm not the host.
I think I set up this meeting, so I don't think anyone from People Ops has have to host it. I figured let me not add more work to your calendar.
Oh, it's not a big deal. I was just checking to see if I was the one or not. Don't think so.
Okay, it's time. So Alex, I'll let you kick off, and thanks for asking a couple questions already.
Unmuting might help. Hello everyone. Hello again. Thanks so much for setting this up. Yeah, so I thought a little bit about personal question. What is your favorite country city you have traveled to and why?
That's a very difficult question, but I would say that every place I visit or want to visit needs to be better weather than Belgium. Which is not that difficult, but yeah, I really like to be in the sun. And so last year we went to the north of Spain, Pamplona. I don't know if you've heard about the area. It's where they have the bullfights. They're famous, you know, the running of the bulls in the city, and that's what the city is famous for. We went when the bull stuff wasn't happening. But that was a really cool place. There's a lot of wine areas there, so that was fun as well. So we took the car there from Belgium to Spain, and then did some wine houses and came back. That's something I really liked. So if there's good weather and good food and wine, then it's okay for me. It's hard to pick a favorite, but yeah, that would summarize it.
Something that stands out. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, so I'll jump straight into question 2.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please explain what the term mermaid means for non-technical people and how we would use it?
Yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, sorry. I keep seeing it being mentioned in quite a few chats. So I just thought maybe you can just share like a brief understanding of what it is and how we can use it.
Yeah, it's a great question. Sometimes I use terms without really thinking about if people are aware of what it is, and it's just, you know, what is common is knowledge isn't for me, and the other way around. So to summarize it, mermaid is besides a creature and the ocean, also a charting and a diagramming tool. So I'll quickly share my screen. Let's see. Yes. So so it's basically with code. So if you write these type of things, then whatever is on the right will show up. So the cool thing is that, for example, what you can use it for, it's both for charts and it's also for workflows like this. So this is their documentation. You can make flow charts. You can make sequence diagrams. It's kind of to visualize things you want to explain. That might be nicer than having all the steps. You can just visualize it. I think most of all, I've used it to make flowcharts. So just like go from A to B, and like, you know, when you're doing things. And recently, Juliana made a really nice addition to the handbook by using Mermaid. So this whole workflow, this whole thing, that's something that she made. So if you would go and have a look at it in the web IDE or how the page is made, it might look confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it's straightforward, but you just need to kind of get the hang of it. So here, these lines is how she made that whole flow chart. The cool thing is there are live editors, so you can kind of play with it. Like, so if it's fine if you don't know the steps right away, but you could be like, okay, let's see, you can remove a couple, and then okay, now I want to add. And basically you're just saying I want to go from C to the next one. So you could say E, and then what you would do is say what E is. You just define it. Let me take chocolate. So that's just kind of like, so you can make them small and easy, and you can go, Juliana went all in with the colors. And now I actually found out that you can also add images. So that's a cool next step as well. So that's kind of Mermaid, and why you would use it is like if you want to have something that's a flow or something, it could be useful. And there's a few of those in the handbook, and that's neat. If you add whatever you do in the Mermaid Live editor, you can just copy paste it in the handbook, and then it will show nicely as a graph or a flow chart. Does that answer your question? Do you have any follow-up questions?
No, that's amazing. Thank
Okay.
you. A lot more context.
You're welcome. Okay, Rose.
Hello, hello, hello. Now, because you said chocolate and you mentioned Belgium in the beginning, I want to have Belgian chocolates right now.
Understandable.
Okay. All right, so cool. I like, this is really like dare to ask question type of question. So I wondered how issues are assigned, for example, to new managers. Like, is it automatically that if a new manager joins, that like the manager issue is assigned and the interview issue is assigned, like interview training, and the onboarding issue is assigned? And then maybe the second question would be, if it's not automated, is it possible to automate it? And then maybe also if people are promoted.
Yeah, so the issues that are automated currently are the onboarding issues, the offboarding issues, the access requests, and the transitions. And so the way it works is that for onboarding, offboarding, and transition, someone from the people experience team need to, in Slack, they type a comment. It's like this. I can type it in the doc. It's pops run onboarding and then the Bamboo ID. So whatever their related ID is. And what then happens is on GitLab, we run a job that will create this onboarding issue for them. It will, it gets some data from Bamboo, like their country, the entity, department, division, and with that data, it fills in the onboarding issue. It does the same for offboarding, and it does the same for transition. With onboarding and offboarding, we fill in a lot more than for the transition is pretty basic still. And then we assign the person itself. No, we can't assign. For onboarding, we can't, and for offboarding, we don't. But we assign the manager and the person who created the issue, so the people experience person. For transition, we assign the team member who's transitioning, we assign their previous manager and the new manager. And then, so that's through Slack that it's created by the people experience specialist. And then the access request, there's two types of access requests. There's still the ones that you can create manually by going to the project and filling in the template. But for those, there's also role-based templates for access requests. And if there is one for your role, then on the second day of your employment, we will create an access request. So there's just a job that runs daily. It checks, hey, who started yesterday? And for those people, we create an access request. For becoming a manager, currently there is not one. It is something we can look at, especially because I'm assuming, I don't know if they also get a transition issue then, or not.
I can help with this a little bit. So we actually just spoke about this in my last meeting. The manager, becoming a manager issue. Right now it is the current manager. So this is kind of confusing. If it's a new hire, the manager of that new hire would create that becoming a manager issue. There is some talk about moving that to people experience to create, because we do create that interview issue as well. But there's, I think Beverly created an issue around all of these issues to see kind of what the best route would be. I hope that answers that part of it a little bit better.
Yeah. For me at least.
we could that could be something that either it could be fully automated somehow when in Bamboo the person becomes a people manager, then there's a job that checks daily, hey, did someone become a manager? We create these issues. Or if it indeed goes to people experience, considering they're used to creating these tickets through Slack, that could be something that gets to them as well. So definitely something that can be done. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I would suggest, I don't know if you're aware, but you can create as many issues as you want on my tracker. I will, oh, where am I? I will post it here. It will load the right template and everything. And just, so if you have any ideas for automation, you can always add it or come here and we can discuss them as well. That's great.
Perfect. Maybe Ashley, you could share the issue where it's been like Beverly's looking at all the issues, right? Maybe then, yeah, I don't want to duplicate some work, but this could be super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let me reach out to Beverly and I'll link it in this agenda.
All good. I'm gonna get some Belgian chocolate now.
They're the best. Ashley, you have the next question.
So every time I talk to you, Lean, you teach me something new, and I feel like because I am not a tech person, I'm missing maybe some really amazing tips and tricks. Can you share any of your favorite tips and tricks that maybe us non-tech people would find beneficial? I know that's a really broad question.
Yeah, I find it difficult to. I didn't really think of any tips and tricks, but maybe for the next office hours, I can always have a tip of the office hour, because I currently don't, because I don't always know what you don't know, like how it goes.
That's fair.
Yeah. I promise next time I have a tip or trick for you. Is that good?
Perfect. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
I want to share that a lot of us engineers, most of our life is Googling things and searching things. Like I showed that mermaid chart that Juliana made. She asked me for help and I had never worked with mermaid. So all of my answers to her also came from searching it. So that's maybe the biggest tip or trick, is that we don't know everything and we Google a lot. So Alex, you have the next question.
Sorry, I was so busy typing. So you shared your tracker, which is great. Thank you. Is it still okay that I know I've done it previously? I ping you sometimes into issues that I've got under the people group, rather than going directly in the operations engineering. Is that still okay, or as far as possible, should we rather anything to do with your involvement? Should we be creating a new issue in your tracker?
No, it's really fine to ping me. So how I organize myself is that if you add me on GitLab, that's my to-dos, and that's in the morning, that's what I check. That's like my daily routine, is where I'm checked. And sometimes I will react with, okay, let's move this into an issue on my tracker, just because I realize this will be a bit more work than, spend 30 minutes on this and implement it. And then it's like, okay, we need to triage it, we need to plan it in and kind of see where it fits among the other stuff. So yeah, definitely don't ever feel bad about pinging me if I'm busy. I just ignore my to-dos for a while. But usually I try to at least check it in the morning. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Indeed. You're welcome. Lorna, you have the next question.
Thanks so much, and thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
So my question is really probably already answered in my head and just staying on top of my MRs, but I'm wondering, is this message in my question about how do I know my MR issue is at risk before I get this email, is that coming from you, your team, or is that totally separate from you? And how can I kind of stay ahead of that?
This is separate. This is the static site I forget the complete name, but it's a static site team editor, editor team, something like that. So it's in the engineering department. There's a team that focuses specifically on basically everything handbook related, and this is coming from them. But I think the way you can make sure that your MR is not deleted is just by commenting in it, and then they're not gonna close it. So yeah, that's
You
the
have
way
to
to
remove. Oh,
and
sorry.
remove the label.
Yeah, you
Was
have
that
to remove
yes.
a label.
Right. I figured that part out, how to go in and remove
Yeah.
the label. And I was like, phew. But what if I'd gone in there just a day later? Would it have been gone forever?
I mean, if there is a way, but it would have not been straightforward because you would have they moved everything to us. They basically duplicated the project, and you would have been able to go and fetch it there. But yeah, it wouldn't have not been straightforward. At least not, it's like a couple steps. So it would have been a little annoying to do so.
Best practice
yeah.
is just to stay on top of it. But I find that the people, or especially people business partners, our MRs or issues tend to take a little longer sometimes with discussion and trying to resolve.
Is that because a lot of stakeholders are involved?
Could be. Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Rose. Yours are probably a bit more quicker in terms of getting action items and timeline. But for me, sometimes I find maybe the last 2 or 3, it's been more of a ongoing kind of discussion back and forth, takes a bit longer. So maybe if I just trigger some reminders in my, I don't know, Google Calendar and the MR itself, just to kind of keep me on track. Because when I saw those, I've got like maybe 5 or 6 of them, and it was the day before they were set to be removed.
Okay.
Yeah, so what might help, what I do, and I figured this out like only maybe 3 months ago, it's like my to-do list in GitLab. So then I really see, I set due dates for my issues.
In the issues?
Yeah, and then you also get a reminder, so that helps. And I also try to, if, for example, the project has changed a few times, right? Then just close an issue and open a new one with the new information, and not like constantly edit the same issue.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah.
That could also help. But I recognize that some of the project indeed take a bit longer, right? And go back and forward on some feedback. Yeah. So yeah.
That's a good tip. Thanks for that. Especially on our side with the policies or it's not necessarily just a quick process or a quick update. It's more a policy being decided. So
yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks.
I would suggest you also ping people, just ping people a lot. But they will get annoyed and probably start like, okay, it's fine, I'll reply. Because I think sometimes you're pinged on a merge request, I'll look at it later, and then you forget about it if you don't work through your to-dos. Another suggestion is, although maybe that's not always possible, but make your merge request as small as possible. So at least that can go out, and then you can, make a new one and continue. So then at least there's fewer discussion possible. Of course, sometimes it is what it is, and you need changes and you need people approving. Or, sometimes also kind of, and a merge request can always be reverted. So sometimes just like if you have approval from, maybe you need approval from 5 people, but if you have approval from a couple, you can be like, okay, I'm going to merge this. If others disagree, let's revert. That could be a suggestion as well. Of course, I don't want to get you into trouble, but that's definitely something you could try if you're like, this isn't a risky one. I would just like their approval at one point, but it's taking a long time. That's something you could do as well.
Got it. That's helpful. Thanks so much.
Yeah, but it's good that the static team did this.
I know. I like it's a cleanup process.
The project had a lot of merge requests. And
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't just me, right? It was
no.
10 times me.
There was a lot. I think at one point there were more than 1,000 merge requests on the project. And I think now there's only about 600, which is still a lot for a project. But of course, there's a lot of us working on the handbook. And even if you would just have the new people adding themselves to the team page, then you already have, quite a bit on a weekly basis. Any other live questions that aren't in the doc, they're welcome. Otherwise, I'll let everyone go back. No? Okay, then thank you for joining this first People Ops Engineering office hours. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Alrighty.
Take care.
Thank you, Lynn.